welcome back to the Rugged Revival podcast. We're back once again at the Renegade Master. We have a very special guest here for episode 2. I can't believe we come round already. We're on a bit of a roll now. And we've got the incredibly talented country artist, Anna Scott, a powerful woman, powerful voice. If you've heard Anna's music, you'll agree. So Anna, just a bit of a synopsis, hails from Cleveland, Ohio. She's got a sound that blends perfectly country, rock and blues. And Anna's worked with the likes of country stars such as Carrie Underwood, Russell Dickerson, and her song Strangers has made the top 40 on the Nashville Songwriters Association International playlist. It's a bit of a mouthful, that. They need to shorten that, I think. So we're going to deep dive into all things Anna. So your journey, your music, and and you've been grateful enough, or so gracious enough, shall I say, to give us a bit of a performance at the end of a couple of your tracks. So great. Are we ready to get into it?
I'm so ready.
Awesome. So how is your week going so far, and what have you been up to?
It's so good. I just got back from a little writer's retreat in Florida. It was my first ever writer's retreat. So I wrote a lot of songs and got to see some palm trees. So that was really exciting.
Ooh.
But I'm back in the swing of things. I've been playing a lot of shows this week. So I've been hitting the ground running ever since I got off the airplane. So it's been good.
You look like you've been super busy, and I've been so jealous of the pictures you've been putting on Instagram of the beaches and the weather. It's 6 degrees here in England at the moment, and probably going to get worse, but it's that time of year for us. So yeah, I'm super jealous that you got to go on the beach, get yourself a tan. I'm slowly going even more paler than I usually am at the moment.
The time right now, I say it's most of the time I'm super pale, and it's around the time of spooky season, so I feel like I with the ghosts. I'm just pretending to be a ghost all fall and winter.
So are you speaking to us now from Ohio, or you're in Nashville at the moment?
I'm in Nashville. Yeah, Nashville, Tennessee.
Awesome. And that's where you're based full time now, or do you kind of flip between Ohio and Nashville still?
Yeah, I'm mostly in Nashville now. I'm officially a Tennessee resident. So I've been, I go home a little bit to see family and play some shows, but for the most part, I'm in Nashville full time. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm super jealous, and I'm sure a lot of the people in the group and that listen to us would love to be there. Absolutely.
You'll have to come make a trip to Nashville.
So I thought normally I tell people how we kind of got in touch, and how we came to be on the podcast. And I remember you messaged me not too long ago on Instagram, and it was quite a funny message that you kind of sent over. And first of all, you complimented what we were doing, so thank you very much for all that. And you said you were a bit concerned because you didn't know if you were a rugged enough singer for us. And that's absolutely not true. So has your opinion changed since speaking to us?
I think it has. I'm think this podcast is going to be my entryway into being a rugged country artist. I'm earning my stripes right now.
Well, you put your whiskey t-shirt on, so
I do. It says whiskey weather, so I'm in the
always
secret.
Whiskey weather. It's for me anyway. So thank you. And like any other guest that comes in on the show, I do as much research as I can. It's quite funny actually, because I tend to start with Google like most people, and typing in Anna Scott, it comes up with Anna Scott from Notting Hill. So that famous 90s movie.
I'm like, man, it's really like kind of funny that my it's my first and my last name is my exact name is the name of her in that movie. So it's crazy. I've watched it once, but it was a long time ago, so I should watch that movie again if you think it's a good one to watch.
We share your name with Julia Roberts, so you're in good company. And luckily I didn't rely on something like ChatGPT to write all my questions, because otherwise it would have been a bit of a weird conversation with you today.
Yeah.
But there we go. So I think where people would be really interested to know about yourself is, starting right at the beginning. So you obviously, from your bio, you grew up in Ohio, Cleveland. So it'd be interesting to see, how was that like for you? What was it like growing up, and what setting was it like?
Yeah, so grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, kind of near Lake Erie, so by Great Lakes. So I grew up, you know, living in a smaller town and grew up in the same place that my parents grew up in. So definitely was a homebody for sure. But when I was growing up, my dad's cousins were in this band called Mushroom Head, which I'm not sure if you're familiar. Very rugged band, I would say.
Cool. We'll have to check them out for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a pretty big, like heavy metal, crazy, crazy band. But my dad played drums in bands growing up, so I would go and see him when I was little, and for one of my birthdays when I think I was like 11 or 12, I convinced my dad to let me come up on stage with him while he was playing at a bar, and all my friends came, and it was like me and a bunch of elementary school kids just hanging out at a bar.
Headbanging.
Right before 6 o'clock when they called it curfew, but it was really cool to perform with my dad. And I think from an early age, I knew that performing is where I felt the most comfortable. And I was, speaking to you before this, I feel more comfortable singing than I do public speaking sometimes. Which is weird because some people, a lot of people have stage fright, but I never really had stage fright. I started singing I would do the national anthem at different racetracks, and that's kind of how I got started in performing for myself. So I started with crowds of 50,000 people and fireworks
Started small then, yeah.
Yeah, and it was really, really intense and scary, but I think that helped me to kind of, make my transition to Nashville. Fast forward lots of years later when I graduated high school, when I first moved here, I think it helped me to be a little braver going into the bars on Broadway and trying to perform and, getting rid of that stage fright fear. So I've been performing for forever. And, I think I was probably around 6 years old when I first started truly performing and singing, and I've just never wanted to do anything else. I've never liked anything else as much as I've loved singing and being on a stage and playing the guitar. Like, you give me a guitar and a microphone and I'm a happy camper.
That's amazing. I was just saying to you before when I said I get nervous just doing the podcast, so I have absolutely no idea how you get up on stage in front of 50,000 people for a start. But, particularly in the bars in Nashville, that's got to be a wild scene. So, I doff my hat to you to have the bravery to get up and do that and to perform so fantastically as well.
I think I was more oblivious than brave when I was little. I just didn't know any better, so I just would go up and I'd go up and sing, and then I didn't know that should be a scary thing, and now I'm like, whoa, where did that bravery come from?
Oh, it's amazing. Well, you've obviously been taught well by your dad. So you didn't pursue a career in heavy metal. That wasn't your thing, though.
No, I mean, my dad he also knows how to play guitar and bass, but drums were his main focus. So I just remember him drumming all the time, and he'd have band practice in the basement, and I would go down and just watch him play. And I just loved music, and my dad's side of the family is just super musical. So like I said, his cousins were in that, fancy band, and then he was in country bands and blues bands and rock bands, and it was just fun, like growing up and having that, music be such an important part of my life at such an early age. And I know, like, talking to my mom now, she's like, you would sing before you would even talk. Like, you just loved singing, and you just would never. She probably wanted to say you never shut up,
but in a nice way, yeah.
But she's nice. She didn't say that, but I feel like I would probably was like that.
Oh, that's amazing. So, have you got brothers or sisters? And
yeah, I do. I have a twin brother. And then I have
cool.
a younger brother. But we're only 2 years apart. So we're really, really, really close. And I think growing up with brothers really helped me to have thick skin because my brothers are so sweet. I mean, I wouldn't change them for the world, but I think growing up with brothers, I wouldn't have it any other way because they're my best friends, and neither one of them do music, but they're definitely my biggest fans for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. And mum and dad, big fans of yours as well. Do they come to any of your shows?
Oh yeah, yeah. They fight over who gets to come to Nashville to see me sing. But whenever they go to shows, especially when I'm at home and they're together, people they won't, say anything to me, but people will just go up to them and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like are you related to her? Is that your daughter?" Because they just have the biggest smiles on their face and they're sitting in the front
Ah,
laughing after every song, and they're just, if I had no one in the world that ever listened to my music, I would only have those two. Like they are the my biggest fans, and they've just supported me from day one, and they listen to my songs, and they support me through everything, even when I needed some practice when I was learning, how to perform and how to play the guitar, and when I was playing bad notes on the guitar in the house and singing up a storm. They just were constantly there for me. So I think that they're they might be a little biased, but they've been my biggest fans for a long time.
super supportive. No, that's amazing. So what age did you start playing guitar?
So I started playing guitar when I was around 10 years old. I used to do singing competitions, so local singing competitions. And the first one I did, I didn't play guitar, but I did do one. It was like a home and garden expo, and it was like the first time I played guitar and sang. I did a Taylor Swift song, of course, and I ended up winning, and the grand prize was an Xbox. And I remember I negotiated with my brother to buy the Xbox off of me because I was a businesswoman at the time, and I was like, I want a guitar. I don't want an Xbox.
You don't
So
need
I,
that.
I don't know what the infatuation with the Xbox was, but I remember winning that competition, and I played the guitar, and I was just that was the bravest I've ever been in my life in those moments when I first went up there and played the guitar, and that's when I knew that guitar was going to be my instrument. I play piano too, but guitar is like my main
I
thing.
did see that, yeah, on your socials. I thought I was going to ask you, what other instruments do you play? And I saw you played piano really well, and I thought you're just, multi-talented, obviously. So
Oh, you.
it's amazing. So you play guitar, piano, banjo, did you say?
I actually own a banjolin, which is a mandolin and a banjo. So it sounds and looks like a banjo, but plays like a mandolin. Do I know how to play the mandolin? No. Do I know how to play the banjo? No. But I have it, and I am in the process of learning it. So stay tuned. Maybe there will be a banjolin feature. But I do have a ukulele. I know how to play ukulele a little bit, and piano and guitar. I went to college for music, so I took a little bit of piano and guitar. So I definitely have better chops in those than I do in ukulele. I don't know if I'm playing a ukulele out on the Broadway strip. That might be a little off kilter, but
I would love to see a YouTube channel of you, yeah, learning the banjolin, if that's the right way to say it.
I have to. Surprisingly, I bought it from Guitar Center, so there must be a market for banjolin players. I just probably should have learned how to play the mandolin first before I bought a banjolin. But one day we're gonna whip it out and we're gonna
Uh,
play it a song.
why not? My favorite bands play mandolin, like Watch House, if you've heard of them. I love the sound of it. It's such a beautiful instrument. I think it complements country particularly well, or folk music. Yeah, I do love hearing it,
For sure, yeah, it's got a beautiful sound. I'm excited to learn how to do it justice.
and I'm excited to watch you learn. Fantastic. Again, I do my research on every guest that comes on, and I love trawling through your social media just to see what you're up to and what quirky things you're doing. And are you from Polish descent? Is that right? Because you were
I
posting about food and things like that I noticed.
I am. Oh my gosh. I'm Polish. I'm also Irish and a little bit of German and Swiss mixed around, but my mom is really Polish, and growing up she would cook homemade pierogi, and
That was it.
we would spend multiple days in the kitchen making pierogi, and I love pierogi. And since moving to Nashville, I have yet to find a place that sells like authentic tasting pierogi. So I've been super sad. I've actually taken homemade pierogi from home. It's about an hour-ish flight from Ohio to Tennessee, and I've actually taken it and put it in a freezer bag and taken it in my carry-on and taken pierogi from Ohio to Tennessee because I love it so much and I just miss it. And that it's like that homemade food that, like, when I think of growing up and living in Ohio and being with my family, like making pierogi was a huge part of my life. And I actually have a pierogi tattoo. So that is how
That's how much you love pierogi.
one day, yeah, maybe one day I can travel to Poland and have some pierogi and in Poland. But for right now, I've got my mama's cooking, so it's been fun.
You can't beat mum's cooking, can you?
Yeah, not at all.
So for us who in England that don't necessarily know what pierogi is, well, what is it?
Yeah, so it's a dough. It's kind of like a the best way I can explain it is a type of, like, it's kind of like a ravioli in a way, if you've had
Okay.
ravioli before.
Yes.
So it's a dough that you make and you put potato and cheese filling inside of it, and then you fold it over so it looks like uh, half of a saucer, and then you've pinched the sides so it's like a little folded edge. And some people think it looks like an empanada. I don't know if you've ever had an empanada
Yes.
before.
Yeah.
They think it looks like an empanada, but it is a pierogi, and I love them so much. I think they're perfect. I will eat them for a full meal. I will eat them as a side. They are just comfort food, and you normally top them with like sour cream or onion, and you can put sauerkraut in them, and there's all different kinds of fillings that you do, but it's mostly dough with potato and cheese inside.
There's your new YouTube channel, pierogi. But you love it so much, you've got a tattoo of it, so why not?
I'm gonna do a cooking series. One of these days, I'm gonna do a cooking series on my socials, and it's gonna be singing and making pierogi.
No, that's awesome. I mean, it's great to know about your background. I mean, it's a very musical family, and you've learnt a lot of instruments, and a great singer. And the interesting part I wanted to know was about the move to Nashville, because I don't know how far Cleveland is to Nashville. Being in England, we have no idea of distances. But I mean, how did that come about? At what point did you know that Nashville was kind of calling for you?
Yeah, so I was in high school and I was looking around for some different schools, and I knew that I wanted to go to school for music. It was just a non-negotiable in my life, and I was like, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get to go to school for music. But it's really tough to find a program that kind of emphasizes performing that in a non-classical way. So, you know, eliminating opera and classically singing, or singing for like a music education or music therapy. There's not a whole lot of options. And so I was looking around at some schools, and I'd just been performing for a long time. And in high school, I did everything that I could in music, and stumbled upon Belmont, which is a music school right here in Nashville. And I signed up for an audition, and my dad came with me. We flew in, and I got off the plane, immediately went to my audition, and I was like, okay, I know that if this is in my plan, like, it's going to happen. And, if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I, you know, I got in, which was shocking, and I was so, grateful, and I knew that it was going to be rough to try and figure out how I was going to be able to afford college, especially a music college. So I thankfully was able to get some scholarships, and it worked out, and I'm just so grateful, because I think if I wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to school here for music, I don't know if I would have ever gone to Nashville. I think Nashville became the place that I felt at home in, and it worked out so well. And I don't know, the hard work paid off in that moment. So I was really, really grateful to be accepted into college. So as soon as I graduated high school, I packed up my stuff, and we drove. It's about an 8-hour drive. So it's not a bad drive. Most of the time I fly though, but it's not a bad drive. So we packed up my dad's truck and drove down, and he dropped me off, and I just was here, and it was crazy, and I'm so grateful that I made the move, because it's been a little over 5 years. I just hit my 5-year anniversary of being here, and it's just been crazy. There's been so much happening and so many songs and so many things that I've learned. I've just changed as a person, and I really, so that was, yeah, that's really how it happened. I kind of just stumbled upon Belmont, and I knew that college would have been like the best move for me at the time. And I got in and moved here, and I've never turned back
You've
since.
never looked back since. No. How old are you, Anna?
I will be 24 this year. I'm very
Oh,
close.
wow.
I'm a December baby, so I will be 24.
So 5 years. So it was 19 that you initially went over them.
Yeah, I had turned 18 in December of 2018, and then 2019 came about. So I moved here just a few months before I turned 19. And yeah, it was as soon as I graduated high school, I was like, let's figure out how I'm gonna get here, because I knew, I was like, I will do anything it takes to get here. And even now, I mean, it's like you gotta know how much you're willing to do to be able to stay here, because it's such a cutthroat town, but also in the best way possible. So
Yeah, I mean that was one of the questions I had because I mean there's so many great scenes, lately that I've been listening to a lot of the Texas country music scene.
yeah,
Nashville's obviously there. I'm in love with the Kentucky scene and the guys, what they're doing over there. There's so many competitive places, and it's yeah, it's incredible what everyone is doing. And like you say, I would imagine that Nashville is incredibly competitive. That's everyone's dream to go over there and to play the honky tonks and the venues that are out there. And I believe looking at your socials that you're playing regularly at a bar called Friends in Low Places, which I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it Garth Brooks's bar?
it is. Yeah, Garth
Awesome.
Yearwood, they opened the bar just this past summer, and I've been playing there, and I love it there. It's beautiful. There's disco balls everywhere, which I am a big fan of disco balls. Anything that's sparkly, silver, glitter, I'm all for it. I've got everything bedazzled. I'll show you my capo for my guitar. I've bedazzled it.
Wow.
It's awesome.
That's
So that
beautiful.
is right up my alley. And I think it's just been so fun to play there. But I've been playing just the Broadway street alone. Broadway, not New York Broadway. There's two different Broadways. So New York Broadway is for musicals, but the Nashville Broadway is just a ton of bars. Bars every next door to each other. There's probably 50, 60, 70 bars in that area, general area.
Wow.
It's just big long street all the way from the river all the way down to Bridgestone Arena, where they have big concerts at. And it's just every bar has 2 or 3 bands playing at a time, and they open at 10 in the morning and they close at 2 in the morning, and it's every day of the week. I think the only day they don't play is Christmas, and I honestly think there might still be some bands that do play on Christmas. I think every day of the year. I mean, there could be a snowstorm going on, there could be everything going on, and they still have music. So there's a lot of music going on at one time, and it's really cool. But I started playing on Broadway about a year or two after I moved here, and I was in college. So I was like a sophomore, going to be a junior in college, and I started playing downtown, and I played at so many different venues. But I love it so much. I mean, each bar is different in what they want to hear, and the clientele, and the sound, and the vibe of just being there in the first place. Every bar is so different. So I'm just very grateful to have been able to play at so many of those places. But currently I am at Friends in Low Places, which has been so fun. I play on the rooftop, and it is beautiful, and the Nashville summer is just so pretty, and we always have a lot of people coming in and out for the summer and the fall, and the New Year's Eve is coming up, and people come for New Year's Eve. So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a really good rest of the year playing there.
That's awesome. And I checked the bar out just out of curiosity, and it's an Oasis top bar, is it? So it's a tropical theme up there. So a bit random, but yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
So the whole bar is based off of Garth's song "Friends in Low Places," and there's one line in the song. It's like, "Think I'll slip on down to the oasis 'cause I got friends in low places." So the oasis is part of that song, so that's why they named it the Oasis. But it is tropical as all get out up there. They've got, you know, just that theme all over the top of the bar. And the bar used to be this bar called Paradise Park, and it was kind of tropical themed in the same way. So they kept that same feel and just fit it in with the song. And it is huge. I think they said that it can fit 750 people just on the rooftop. And they've got these huge lights, and the roof is open, so they have different walls up so that in case it rains, they can cover it like a garage door. They have like a rotating door that can close. But I look up and I see, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Batman building, but there's a really famous building in Nashville that's the AT&T building, and it looks like the building from Batman with the two little spokes on the top. And so I look up and I see that huge building, and I just see the, Nashville, and it's like the prettiest view ever from the stage. And everybody is just always in a good mood because it feels like you're on a little mini vacation in Florida when you're on that floor. So I'm very grateful. It's a
That's
pretty
wonderful.
desk.
I would love to visit there one day. It sounds amazing. It's definitely on my bucket list to do. So going back to moving to Nashville, obviously it must be incredibly kind of intimidating going there so early. I've just smashed something on the floor. Carry on. This is what happens here, unfortunately. I've got so many whiskey bottles knocking about that, yeah, I'm bound to knock something over at some point.
That's okay.
Anyway, so just settling in, I'm interested because you're moving over there at such a young age. Did you have anyone that was supporting you once you arrived? Anyone particular that stands out that helped you kind of settle into the scene?
I think when I first moved here, I knew a few people that had gone to the same college that I went to. So I at least knew some people that were here. But I think just going to a college in this area helped me to adjust. I think when you first go to college, you're a freshman and everybody's meeting everybody for the first time. And especially with Belmont, it's a private school, and there were people from all over the world that went to Belmont. And so being from Ohio was not uncommon. Being from out of state was not uncommon for my college. And so I think having that feeling of I'm a musician in Music City and I'm moving from out of state and I am nervous as all get out. I was definitely a mutual, universal feeling in the college. So I think meeting people in that same realm helped a lot. And also, I think music is such a universal thing. Like it helps people bond that don't know each other. And I think that is really cool because it can bring strangers together and help people bond no matter who they are and where they come from. I think music bonds them together. So the fact that I was in Music City with a bunch of people that didn't know each other, I mean, the first thing people do is pick up their guitars and they start playing. And there's so many pop-up shows just as I'm walking to class, and people just say, come on and let's jam together. And you just go in, you just start picking up the guitar and playing, or you start singing. And it's not uncommon to do that there. So I think that music helped me truly to kind of integrate myself into Nashville and get my feet wet and still, have the safety of being in a school and having that, built-in opportunities to make friends and be in classes with people and, have that security. That definitely helped because I think I would have been scared to death if I just moved into an apartment and started trying to knock on doors to play. I think I would have been too scared.
Absolutely. And like you say, music brings people together, and hence why we're here now. I think I've met so many people, fantastic, that were online, and everyone's so friendly. And, that's why I was drawn to what you were doing because, the music that you're producing, the music that you like, and the same goes for the group that we've got. I think we're all in the same boat, and we all get drawn to kind of similar things, and it really does help, doesn't it?
Yes, we all have universal feelings that they come out in the music. And I think whether you are, super rugged, or maybe you're like me and you're like, I'm not sure if I'm that rugged. I think we all kind of bond over the music. So that's one reason why I appreciate you for starting this, because I think that you're giving musicians a platform to meet each other and to showcase what they've got, and to relate to people. So thank you for doing this.
No, no, thank you, honestly. And your song Change is certainly quite rugged. I listened to that earlier and before, and some of the lyrics are, they're quite funny. I should have had a shave, because I was listening to it, think, oh God, Anna thinks I need a shave
No,
and
it doesn't
sort my
apply
life out.
to you.
But like you say, we try to platform as many people as possible. And I was saying to Jack on the previous podcast, I'm sometimes maybe naive that they've got a bigger platform that just isn't on Instagram, and maybe it's TikTok, or they just use something else. But I've been talking to some awesome people just, over the past few weeks, like Sepan Dover, Nathan Bess. More recently, Eli Kane, who's supporting the Costellos soon. And these
Oh,
guys,
wow.
they're all in a very similar position where, they've got day jobs, a lot of them. And you just assume that this is, music is their full-time occupation, and, they're living the dream already, but they're grinding. And I admire what they're doing, and I love the music. So I will share it as much as I can. And, I'll put that on my platforms because, I just put out what I like. So,
Well, you're helping more than you know. I think like sharing someone's music, especially someone like me who's, maybe an independent artist, or someone that, is a small artist or undiscovered or whatever you want to call it. I think sharing someone's music is the most helpful thing you could do for an artist, and it's free, which is crazy. So I don't think people realize that, but even just clicking a share button or a like button on social media just does wonders for an artist. So this is, I'm over the moon grateful to be on here with you.
no, not at all. I mean, I said to somebody else recently, it's like you're shouting into the abyss sometimes. You don't know if anyone's listening, you don't know if anyone's watching, and it can be demoralizing at times. So if I'm feeling that, I can imagine what musicians are feeling like, are actually making the content, the proper content, because I'm just talking about it, and you guys are doing the actual work and the things that people love. So I'm just grateful that you want to talk to us, you want to come on the show, and you want to share what you're doing. So I think that's amazing. But I mean, go back to Nashville very quickly. I mean, is there anything in the kind of 5 years that you've been there that you wish you knew beforehand or along the way, perhaps a bit earlier, that you've got some advice that anyone's looking to move there and do the same things as you? What kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for me, and I think I'm realizing this more and more every day that I'm here, is to not let fear stop you from putting yourself out there. I mean, no one's going to know who you are if you don't put yourself out there, and you might feel a little crazy. I feel a little bit delusional. And, I think that comes with the business, and I think it comes with being an artist. You kind of have to be a little bit delusional, and you kind of have to believe in things that people are going to say what's wrong with you, but you have to trust yourself, and not let fear get to you. Because I think when I first moved here, I was so nervous, and I know other people were too, but I definitely didn't put myself out there as much until COVID happened, and then everything shut down, and I had no way to perform my music, and I was like, oh no, what do I do now? Like I had all this time, to put myself out there, and I was too nervous. So I think, you know, don't let a global pandemic be the reason, be the thing that kicks you into that kicks your fear away. Don't let a global pandemic be the thing that kicks your fear away. Let yourself be a little crazy, and get out there, and chances are at least one person is gonna be in the same boat as you and appreciate that, you're putting yourself out there, because if you're not going to do it, no one else is going to do it for you. So that's one thing for sure. I think in the 5 years that I've been here, I I wish I would have been slightly braver when I first moved here.
No, that's great advice. And I always think that, I mean, I was probably in the same boat as a lot of people. It's like you've got a lot of ideas and a lot of things that you want to do, but you're just too scared to put it out there in fear of perhaps judgment. And sometimes it's just like, well, just create it, create what you want and put it out there. Some people will like it and some people won't, but you kind of learn, along the way, learn about yourself, and you learn how to get better. If you're not producing anything, there's going to be no content. So no.
Yeah, chances are, I mean, if you have people that don't like it, that means that people are hearing what you have to say. So that means that you're reaching a larger audience. I saw that recently. It was like, if you have haters, then that means, you're growing because you're reaching a new audience, and you're reaching people regardless of whether they like you or not. They're listening to your music. So, I mean, a listen is a listen. A stream is a stream, whether you like it or not. A stream is a stream.
It's reached you. Exactly. I love the positivity. I think I could do with some more of that, and I'm sure a lot of people can. But no, that's really good advice, and it's just interesting because, like you said, there's going to be lots of people wanting to do the same thing, and being brave and just putting yourself out there is, part of the journey, isn't it? So that's fantastic. And I admire your bravery going into some of these bars. I don't know what the bars are like, but if they look like the bars in England, sometimes they can be daunting places. You can have a lot of naughty people going in there, perhaps a bit too much to drink. Do you have any kind of memorable stories or anything that sticks out in terms of performing in these bars? I'm sure that you've got something that perhaps stands out.
Oh man, yeah, it gets really crazy. I remember when I first started out, I was playing in a full band, and we would play the last shift of the night. So I would play till 2:30 in the morning, and we would get some crazy people in there. I remember one time I was playing, I don't know if you're familiar with the song "Love Story" by Taylor Swift,
Yes,
but it's a
yeah.
beautiful song. It's a love story, and it's such a beautiful, sweet song. And I was singing it with the band, and these two guys broke out in a all-out brawl, and it turned into a bar fight in the middle of the song. And that was the first time I've ever had that happen. So I didn't know. I'd never seen a fight. Like I don't even know if I've seen a fight before in my whole life until that moment. So I was just singing away, and I didn't know whether to stop singing or continue singing. So we just kept going because the bouncers, they recognized it and they were trying to break it up, but it was just I was like a deer in a headlights trying to finish the song, and I was like, songs. You'd think it'd be like a super fun, upbeat song, or like a really rockin' song that would get people to fight. But Love Story I was like so taken aback.
Yeah, it's not my first choice to have a brawl. Yeah.
Thankfully they didn't try to hit me or anyone in the band, but now I play a lot of acoustic shifts, so I'm completely by myself, and most of the time people are so kind and sweet, but I will get a few people that have had a little bit too much to drink, and they, try to get on stage, and they try to grab the mic and say things that they shouldn't be saying on a mic. So I'm careful of that. But for the most part, I'm blessed to have not had anything super scary happen.
I'm obviously in England. I do a lot of traveling myself, so I go to London a lot and Manchester for work and for pleasure. But some of the bars I see some of the musicians, the acoustic sets and the other sets, and it's an interesting crowd. And once a few drinks starts flowing, you get a couple of muppets, as we say over here, that can't quite calm down and behave themselves, and it must be so annoying for musicians, and especially when people are shouting free bird, free bird. So have you had any free bird?
It's gotten worse because I actually play at a bar called Freebird, and they
Really?
they're a boot store, and they make the most beautiful boots and hats, cowboy hats and cowboy boots, and they're just like the prettiest possible store you could ever walk into. It smells like new leather, and there's all these fancy boots and hats, and I sing on that stage, and I get play Freebird at least once, twice or three times in the gig. And actually, Dolly Parton just released a version of Freebird, so I might have to learn a tiny bit of Freebird just to please people sometimes. But I am not the guitarist that it would require.
The 3-minute solo.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, it would sound awful. So I'm just I just avoid it. But yeah, that's said a lot. So it's funny that you hear people say that too.
Oh, it's hilarious. Normally it's me. When I say it's other people, it's me after a few drinks. So I'll
Calm
admit that.
yourself out now.
But so when you get on stage, is there any kind of pre-show rituals or anything that you do to kind of, I mean, you say you're not nervous at all, but is there any kind of superstitions or anything you do before you get up on stage?
I definitely warm up for sure. Most of the time when I'm playing shows, I'm playing 3, 4 hours and I'm singing 98% of the time. There's not really a time where I take a break. I mean, if I take a break, it's to like take a sip of water or talk to someone in the crowd. It's most of the time it's go 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 because they kind of want the flow to keep going and the energy and the people and also too if you're a musician, once you've got a good crowd that's paying attention, you don't want them to leave. So if you stop and say I'm gonna go walk around, stretch my legs, that everybody leaves, and then you're starting completely fresh. So I
Wow.
definitely warm up.
So
I
3, 4 hours straight.
Yeah,
That's incredible. That's Sturgill Simpson levels of stamina.
it's got to be stamina for sure, but I definitely for sure warm up before. And I had a voice teacher back when I was in middle school and high school, and she always said like if you show up and you feel good and in how you look, you're going to perform even better. And so I've always taken that to heart. So I love putting on the super sparkly outfits and the fringe and the cowgirl boots. And I love playing up, the stage outfits and the stage makeup and the hair. And, when I'm feeling like I'm having a good hair day, I know for a fact that it affects my gigs and the way that I present myself. My confidence level goes up. So I definitely make sure that I look the part and that I look like I'm a professional, ready to go hit the stage. And then most of the time I warm up. I will not lie to you and say that I warm up every time. I do happen to forget that quite frequently. But when I do remember, I thank myself later because it's your voice is a muscle and you got to take care of it because it's part of me and I can't restring it like a guitar. It's gotta stay for me. It's gotta work. So I've been doing a lot better with the warming up part. That's my superstitions, I would say.
Well, to be fair to you, if you're doing regularly 3, 4 hour sets, I think that's kind of your warm up, isn't it, for most of the week? So would you be playing pretty much every day each week, or do you have a bit of a break during?
Yeah, I play like 4 times a week now. So I played a few different places. So we said Friends in Low Places earlier, so I played there, and then Freebird, which is a boot store in town. They have boot stores all over the place, and they actually just opened one in Texas. So I took my first trip ever to Texas recently to play in Texas for their one of their store openings. But I also play at Alan Jackson's bar. So that was like one of the first places I'd played downtown. And then sometimes I'll fill in at like Jason Aldean's or Miranda Lambert's or Luke Bryan's bar. So there's a lot of places on Broadway that I've played, but I tend to play mostly at Alan Jackson's, Friends in Low Places, and Freebird throughout the week, which is really nice. They all treat me super well, and I've grown a love for them for sure. So it's got
Yeah.
me. I'm lucky. I'm a lucky girl.
Do you get to meet any of these guys? Do they ever frequent their own bars, or do you not see them?
Oh man, see, I yeah, at Alan Jackson's bar, we live stream on Facebook, and so the main stage they'll live stream all day. So as soon as they open the bar, they turn on live stream so you can watch it on Facebook or YouTube. And they have said that Alan Jackson's family does tune in sometimes to just check on the artist and make sure.
Oh, cool.
I've never met Alan Jackson before. I think that I would probably vomit if I ever. I would be so nervous. And then Garth and Trisha, I've seen them perform before, but I've never met them at the bar. But there's lots of cameras around, so I think them too. I would probably vomit if I met them as well. They knew that I could like. knew that they heard me sing. I know Garth Brooks's daughter plays the same shift that I do on different days. So we rotate together, and I've yet to meet her, but we play the same stage at the same time. So it's kind of crazy that, I'm playing in the same atmosphere as someone of that caliber. So I think that they have heard me sing before, but that scares me to think about. So I've never, but besides that, I haven't met anybody in their bar on Broadway yet.
Not yet, yeah, but you're keeping good company, so that sounds good. And actually leads us through to a good segue in terms of musical influences. So I'm really interested to know, obviously listening to your music, and I spent a good hour or two earlier going through all of the stuff that you got on Spotify. It's fantastic, and it, like you say, it's a great mix of country, a bit of rock, some bluesy numbers in there. It's great. So who were your musical influences growing up?
Yeah, so I really grew up on a lot of women in country music for sure. Patsy Cline, Dolly, Martina, Sarah Evans. Those women in country, I just think they have such powerful voices. And when I was growing up, I mean, I started off, and I am not a quiet singer. I am the hilltops. When I was, 8 or 9 years old, I was singing Martina McBryde, and I was just, I wasn't holding back because it was my voice, and I was like, I love singing, so I'm just gonna sing all the time. And
If you've got it, use it. Yeah.
so I loved growing up, listening to them, and I think I respect them more now because they've kind of paved a way for women, especially in country music. I think they've done a lot. Dolly Parton and Martina and Patsy Cline and Sarah Evans. They've all done so much for females in country music. So I have a higher respect for them now. But growing up, I listened to them all the time. And then my dad would play in these rock bands. And I'm from Cleveland, and Cleveland is where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is. So I grew up listening to a lot of rock and roll, and Evanescence and Heart, and those girls as well. They had such powerful voices. So I think that kind of influenced me into what I do now. I'm definitely influenced by rock and blues, but I grew up on country music, and I think that's kind of where my sound is laying, is in that lane of just really vocally driven songs.
No, that's awesome, and like you say, there's so many great female artists, and that's why I wanted you on the show as well. So it's not just kind of male dominated. There's some superb.
This is my PSA.
Exactly, we'll collaborate with everyone. But so for me, I mean, I probably banged a drum before for Presley Hale. I think in terms of modern artists, I think she's fantastic. Susan Tedeschi, she's been around a long time, but I absolutely love her stuff with the Tedeschi Trucks Band and stuff like that. Is there anyone in particular that interests you at the moment in terms of either a new artist or someone that's current?
Oh gosh. I love Lainey Wilson. I love her vibe and how she got to where she is now, and she's such a hardworking artist, and I think that her style and how she stays true to herself is so inspiring and cool, especially now that I'm living in Nashville. I think I take a lot of inspiration from her. And as far as like some new artists that are coming up, I mean, there's an artist named Kassi Ashton, and she is got the coolest voice, I think, in country music. She's
I'm gonna
got
write that down. Kassi Ashton.
Kassi Ashton. She's got this song called Drive You Out of My Mind, and her writing is beautiful, but her voice just cuts through so well. And I think that her and I have like similar inspirations in our voices for sure. She's a newer
Awesome.
one. Carrie Underwood, obviously, I think her voice is incredible, and you give her a microphone and that's enough. She could sing the phone book. So, her and Lainey and Kassi Ashton right now, I think, are just really killing it.
Killing it, absolutely. That's what I was going to say, indeed. But is there anyone else kind of at the moment? Because as I say, a big thing for us is platforming. New people that are either just starting out, don't have a particularly big platform, and just people that we should be on our radar. So Kassi Ashton, I'll certainly check out. Is there anyone else, male, female bands, whatever that really caught your eye?
I mean, I'm personally loving all things Zach Top right now. I think
Very
he's
cool.
so cool. He's got that classic country sound, and if you closed your eyes and listened to him, I think you would think that you're listening to like a Keith Whitley or a Vince Gill or something. He's just got that really cool sound, and he's actually on tour with Lainey Wilson right now. So I think that his stuff is so cool and fun, and he's really climbing. And I I don't know. I think he's really got something. He's bringing back this like classic sound, and I'm a sucker for classic country, so I'm all for that.
Is this the guy with the really cool mustache and it's quite 90s vibe? If it's the same guy I'm thinking of, he's getting really big quite now, isn't he?
Yes, yes, that's
That's the
him.
guy.
I, he's the really. I mean, he's just he seems like he's such a personable guy. I think I like what now that I'm performing a lot, I have a deeper respect for some artists that I grew up listening to, and just how they present themselves and how they perform. And I think watching him perform, it just feels like you're sitting in the living room watching him play the guitar. Like he's just so comfortable and so happy to be there. And that's just really cool. I think, in all the craziness that the music industry has to offer, having a charisma like that where you can just stay calm and collected and make people feel like they know you in a way is really, really cool and really tough to do, actually. So I commend him
Yeah.
to do that. I think it's
And like you say, he looks so chill when he does it. And if it's the same guy I'm thinking of, I remember watching a video recently on Instagram with him and Brandon from the Red Clay Strays,
yes.
just backstage,
Gosh, Brandon
acoustic.
has a beautiful
Wow.
voice too. His tone is
Oh,
crazy. I don't know. It's like, and the two of them together, their voices just mesh so well.
that was amazing. Yeah, I mean, Brandon from the Red Clay Strays just reminds me straight up of like Elvis, and he's got that look about him, and that
Had that
charisma.
look about him. Yes, he looks like a mini Elvis.
I
His
don't think I could pull that haircut off. This is just about as good as I can do, but he has got some style, that dude.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he's definitely channeling Elvis in his stuff, and his voice is just unbelievable.
I haven't heard a voice like that since probably Tyler,
Yeah,
Childers at a good few years ago. But yeah, there's certain voices that come out and you think, oh my God, this is just incredible. So yeah, Tyler Childers a number of years back, Brandon, 49 Winchester, I think it's Isaac, the main singer. These guys have just got incredible voices. They're so lucky.
there's something in the water. I'm telling you, this new wave of people coming into country music is, in the words of Lainey Wilson, country's cool again. So I think these people are coming out of the woodwork, and their voices are just, they stop you in your tracks. And I love that about music. I love a song that I think Chris Stapleton does a great job of this, where
Oh, 100%.
his voice, be the guide for the music, and then the music follows. The music supports his voice, but his voice is the central focus of the entire song. And I think he does a really good job of that. And just really, I mean, if you have a voice like that, you got to utilize it. So I love when people do that. And I just think that these, Zach Top and Brandon and Chris Stapleton and Kassi Ashton, they're just like, their voices just are incredible. Or Coulter Wall is another one. You close your eyes and
Culture.
it sounds like I'm listening to someone that is so much older, and then you open your eyes and he's just like this young kid singing this super deep, soulful stuff. It's like, wow. Like, I mean, I don't know, that's super impressive.
It's amazing, yeah. I think Joe Rogan put it on his podcast when he was listening to thinking, you've got to listen to this guy. He's, I think at the time he was 24, something ridiculous, your age. And he did sound like he was, a 70-year-old guy that had been through a lot of history.
Through a whole lot. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. This guy, I mean, it's wild when you like close your eyes and you think of them as a completely different person, and then they just out comes this most amazing voice. It's truly, a gift.
Absolutely. And just moving on forward, so you mentioned Carrie Underwood, and at the beginning we said you performed backing vocals, I believe, with Carrie Underwood and Russell Dickerson. So tell us about that. How did that come about? And I'm sure that was exciting.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely a highlight of my time here in Nashville, a highlight of my career, all the above. For Carrie Underwood, I was hired by CMT, Country Music, for this show that they were doing. It's called CMT Giants, and they honor an artist that is just, had a lifetime of success in music. And they were honoring Vince Gill. And Vince Gill, he went to the same college that I did a long time ago. He went to Belmont, and his daughter and I were in classes together. So I actually knew his daughter. She's a beautiful singer, beautiful singer, a really sweet person. But he decided to have his show in Nashville. They decided to film it at his alma mater. So they filmed it at my college, but CMT hired me to sing in a background choir. I got paid to do it, which I would have done it for free. I mean, it was
I'm sure.
but I did get paid for it, which is wild. I was a paid employee or paid talent for the show, and they recorded it. And I think the coolest thing about it, not only to get to perform with Carrie, but also the audience was it was a lot of people in Nashville that were coming to see the show, but the front couple rows, it was like Sting and Chris Stapleton, and they were watching, like they were there watching me sing backgrounds with Carrie Underwood. Like that was the most surreal, weirdest, coolest experience ever. And we were standing backstage, and I remember Chris Stapleton was right before us, and we were the closer, so we were the last song. We sang "Go Rest High on the Mountain," and it was the most beautiful, chilling feeling ever. But we were standing backstage waiting, and Chris was like, "You guys are gonna do so good. Like, you guys sound so amazing in sound check. You're gonna kill it." And I was like, "What is happening?" So I'm definitely never gonna forget that. And then, as if I thought that it couldn't get any cooler than that, I was able to sing backgrounds for Russell Dickerson. He won an award at Belmont, and I was able to sing background vocals with him. And he's so kind and sweet, and he was just like giving us so much advice, and it was just so crazy to like be behind him. And I knew in those two moments, like I felt the most at peace with myself on stage. And that's like how I really know that performing is like what I need to do for my, like, I feel like I have this calling to be a performer and to perform forever till I can't perform any longer. That's like would make me the happiest, would be to perform all the time, everywhere, anytime I can. And I think in those two moments, I just validated those feelings of like, wow, this is the coolest moment of my life, and just taking it all in and just feeling this overwhelming sense of gratitude. I just think that those two experiences, it's crazy to think that those even happen, but I just, those are going to be my fun facts for the rest of my life.
It should be. It should be. You should feel the utmost confidence, and you deserve to be up there. And you're still no nerves at all.
I mean, I think the nerves were more of like I was just in a state of shock, like overwhelming joy and shock. So it was like the only thing I was able to do, I couldn't speak. I just sang my part and just witnessed the crowd of hundreds of people and all these balconies. I mean, the Fisher Center is a giant venue, and there's this huge stage, and there's all these lights and cameras, and it was on TV, so it was like all being filmed, and it was crazy. And Vince Gill's like sitting in this box watching us sing, and it was just like the craziest, most surreal moment. But yeah, I mean, my stage fright was more of like an overwhelming sense of, wow, like, is this really happening? I think I was just in shock.
Oh, that's great. I love Vince Gill. I remember seeing the Eagles 3 years ago, I think now, and because now he was the main singer after Glenn Fry, so it was amazing seeing him perform. With one of my favorite bands ever. He's
Oh,
such and he seems such a nice guy, and what a performer! Amazing.
I know it was crazy. It was like getting to meet your idol, but then being able to sing with your idol in front of other idols that I grew up listening to, like Vince Gill, watching him, watching me sing, and being able to sing a song to him that was his song. It was like like such a powerful song, and Carrie did such justice to it, and it just was like so cool to sing his song to him to honor him in that moment. And it was like the coolest. I don't know. I'm still in shock. It's been a little while since I did that, but I just feel the same amount of shock that I did when I first found
Oh
out. I
wow.
remember I got the email and I was like screaming, jumping up and down. I was just so excited. I couldn't believe it. Seriously.
So is that on YouTube then? So we can check that out, can we?
It's actually on Hulu,
Hulu.
or
Okay.
wherever CMT. Um, so I have Hulu, so that's where I know that it's at. But it's on CMT, their channel, and it's CMT Giants Vince Gill, and it's the last song of the night. It's Carrie Underwood, and it's Go Rest High on That Mountain, and it was crazy, absolutely crazy.
There you go. For anyone listening, check it out. I'm going to check it out later for sure.
It's still up there. I'm gonna be bummed if it's not, but I think it's still up there. I still have it recorded.
Amazing. That sounds an amazing thing to do. I was checking out obviously your socials, and when we spoke originally, you said you were over at a songwriters retreat in Florida. Um, so that was just before Hurricane Milton hit. Were you kind of out the way of that issue, or was that a problem for you at the time?
Yeah, so Hurricane Helene came right before I got there, and I was, just praying for the people that were down there. One of a few of the writers live around that area, so just hoping that it didn't hit them, and obviously seeing everything on the news, it was just terrifying. And we didn't, I mean, East Tennessee got hit with stuff from the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, but I didn't see anything in Nashville, so I was just had no idea like what would happen. And they had said that I think there was like one tree that came down in that area, so they lucked out, and there was no flooding issues or anything. So thankfully we were able to still have the retreat, but it was just crazy. And then I left like a day before Hurricane Milton came, so it just
Wow.
I still think that they are okay right now, as of what I've heard. They're still doing okay, but it was crazy. I mean, I didn't grow up around hurricanes. I grew up around tornadoes and, you know, some bears maybe, but like nothing crazy like that. And hurricanes are just way over my head. Like I just have no idea. So just seeing everything on the news, I was so worried. And even now, like, I mean, all people are getting hit in North Carolina and like
It's
for
scary, isn't it?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you get hurricanes where you're at, or you're
No, the waters are far too cold where we are. So
uh,
fortunately, I mean, we don't really have tornadoes. We have, quite a lot, but they're just probably something that might push your wheelie bin over, or suck your cat up into the air. Momentarily, but nothing of the magnitude that America has for sure. I think you've got the specific climates for hurricanes, particularly, and tornadoes, and we're very lucky here. It can get cold. We moan a lot about the weather, us British. So it's cold, it's wet, it's miserable. But when in reality, when we look at other countries, especially at the minute, yeah, we're so fortunate over here, and we were tracking it. Me and my wife were tracking it the other day because we are just scared, in terms of who would be impacted and how, and it was such a horrible experience for a lot of people. But going back anyway, moving away from that, so how was your songwriters retreat in Florida? How did you find that?
oh my gosh, it was so incredible. I've written songs my whole life, and I've always been a performer, but I've written songs. I mean, I remember writing my first song on a piece of construction paper with a crayon, and that was like, something that was super special to me, and I knew like songwriting was something that resonated with me. But, throughout college and stuff, it's just been interesting path with writing, I think, versus performing. In my mind, I'm Anna Scott the writer, and I'm also Anna Scott the performer, and so sometimes those two are very different for me. Like Anna Scott the performer, I can, get up on a stage and I can sing whatever you want, but when it comes to Anna Scott the writer, it's like that's where the perfectionist in me comes out, and I'm, a little less brave in that category. So I think throughout my time in Nashville, you definitely realize that you're a tiny fish in a really, really, really large ocean body of water. And it's a little scary to put yourself out there, especially with songs that are really personal to you. But this writer's retreat was just so cool, and I just met the most talented people, and we wrote so many songs, and I was just sitting, on our back patio looking out at these palm trees and just being so inspired by everyone that was there. And we would write songs, and then we'd all go around in a circle and we'd play our songs for each other, and it was just so cool. And it kind of validated for me, this whole journey of me being in Nashville and learning who I am as an artist. I kind of learned who I am as a writer, and especially this weekend, I think it validated that I am a writer, and that, I'm on the right path in that way as well, because this retreat kind of, came out of the woodwork, and it was my first ever retreat, and I was invited, and I was just shocked because I was just so excited and so grateful to have been invited to something like that. And, we got some really cool songs out of it. So it was really, really fun.
Amazing. I can't wait to hear what you produce from that. So generally speaking, in terms of your songwriting, how would your approach be normally, and has that changed since going to the retreat?
Yeah, so all of the songs that you hear on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, they're all written by me and myself only. Me, myself, and I. There's no co-writers on them, and I think co-writing was something that was really foreign to me when I first moved to Nashville. And now that I've been here for a while, I've met some really cool people, and especially this retreat. I mean, you're writing with 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, I had a song that we wrote on a boat in the middle of the bayou with 6 people. So it was me and 5 other people. We were we had one guitar on the boat, and we had a piece of paper because we had no signal. So we couldn't look anything up or type anything in a document. So we did the, old fashioned pencil and paper, and we were just singing on this boat, and it was really cool. But I think, when I write by myself, I can get really personal and introspective with my life. And I think co-writing is very scary, actually. You kind of have to put yourself out there to people that you barely know. And when I went to this retreat, I didn't know anyone that was going to be there, truthfully. And I was pouring my heart and soul out, and writers take that, and they work with you, and they create the most beautiful piece of art from that. And I think this retreat really opened me up to writing with other people and just getting it out there, and talking about really hard things and topics, and stuff that is you probably wouldn't tell a stranger normally, but right, in songwriting, it's not weird to meet somebody for the first time, tell them your whole life story, and then write a song from it. That's pretty rare in Nashville. Yeah. I think now, since that retreat, I'm definitely more involved in the co-writing space. But when I first started writing, I mean, it's all been myself and just writing about stuff that's happened in my life, and it's like therapy for me. It's free therapy, and it helps me get through things. And I think it also helps me connect with other people and be able to show people that, some of these emotions are valid and real, and you're not the only one going through them. So yeah, hopefully it gives people a friend in my music.
That's great. I was listening to your music just before, like I said, and I was sat back and was listening, thinking, some of these songs about heartbreak, heartache, and things like that. And I thought, who's hurt Hannah? I need to know We'll sort them out for you.
I'm not gonna drag your name through the mud, but I am gonna write about you. If somebody ever breaks my heart, I'm gonna, you know, I'm a peaceful gal, but when it comes to writing, I'm gonna tell the truth like it is. And
You tell us.
yeah, it's no one's safe in the songwriting world.
So in terms of like, I can imagine you writers get a lot of creative block sometimes, and it can be incredibly frustrating. Is there any methods that you use to kind of push through that? And is it involving other people, or is it just, time to reflect for yourself? I mean, how would you do that?
Oh gosh. I mean, I think you have to live to be able to write things. If you're if you're not living your life and doing the things that you want to do, you don't have anything to write about. So truthfully, I think when I'm going through those creative blocks, I reach out to people in Nashville. I am such a family person. I love my parents and my brothers, and I think I gain a lot of inspiration from them as well. So um, phone call home really does the trick sometimes, for sure. I mean, it puts me right back in place, and um, I think that kind of helps me get out of it. But being inspired just in Nashville in general, I think getting out of my head and into the live music scene and just being inspired by people, and you're gonna run into a songwriter in 5 minutes if you just walk down the road. Like, you're gonna find somebody that's in music, or that's a producer or a writer or a videographer, or anybody that's in music. Your chances are you're gonna meet them in the first 5 minutes of being here. So I could gain a lot of inspiration, and also feel a little bit overwhelmed by
I was going to say it can go either way, can't it? Yeah.
yeah, you can kind of get in your own head when you get around people that are succeeding, and they're assigned to labels and they're touring. But I think if you take it and you realize that there's enough stars in the sky for everybody, I think there's not a cap to who can be an artist and who can release music. You can release music no matter who you are. So I think that taking inspiration from them instead of feeling overwhelmed is like really beneficial when trying to move forward, because you're really in competition with yourself.
Absolutely. So are you currently unsigned, Anna?
I am.
You
Yep.
are.
Official. I am independent. I am as independent as it gets.
We need to get you signed. So yeah, let's get this out there. Is there anyone particular that you want to be signed with? Putting you right on the spot now.
Let me know. Give me a call.
We'll sort it out. Don't you worry about that. You absolutely deserve it. I mean, I was looking at YouTube the other day as well. So the Porch series as well, that I saw, and I loved the song Deal. I was playing that earlier on Spotify, but I love the acoustic version that you put out on YouTube, and I think it's great. So what's the kind of inspiration or the idea behind the Porch series?
Oh gosh. Well, I have the most, I am a little bit biased, but I have the most beautiful porch I think ever. It is like overlooking other people's porches, but it's open on the top, and when it rains, I can look up at the sky and watch it rain, and I won't get rained on. And I think it's the coolest, most peaceful porch ever. And I have this little chair that I call my egg chair. It's like a wicker chair, and I just love sitting out there and writing, and just getting some vitamin D. Sometimes it really helps get my inspiration back in gear. But I have had so many songs come out, especially during COVID, and I didn't really have an opportunity to promote them live like I wanted to, and so I wanted to bring a new light to my songs and get people to hear them that maybe are new to listening to my music. Maybe they don't really know a whole lot about me or my songs. So I just one day decided I was going to do a porch series, and this has just been what I've been doing for a couple weeks now. But I I each song it's like my children. It's like I have 12 children, and I want them all to have their own. I want to brag about them a little bit, and so I
Why
think
not?
that thing has been helpful. The porch series has been helpful with that.
So we were talking about your children. You can't have a favorite, obviously, but I'm going to put you on the spot. What is your favorite song that you've written, and is there a particular story behind that?
Oh gosh. Yeah, that is really hard. I think I would have to say the first one I ever released, it's called Mountain, and I wrote it about my sweet mom, because when I first moved to Nashville, I realized that she was such a rock. My dad is too, but my mom was just, my mom and I are super close. We're like best friends, and I think that she has always had my back, and no matter what was going on in college, I could pick up the phone and she'd be there. And I realized when I left home, it was hard not being around family and not being, living at home and having her there and, just somebody to talk to. So I that was my first song that I ever released. So that was special. And it was also special because my dad played drums and bass guitar on that record. So my dad and I went to the
Awesome.
studio and we recorded with this guy named Eddie Temeko. He's a great producer and engineer. And we recorded during COVID when the world was locked down. My dad and I went into the studio, and me, my dad, and Eddie, we just went and we spent a night, and I, played some stuff, and it was just really cool to have that moment with my dad, and to grow up watching him perform, and then to have him on my songs in return, and then to have it be about my mom. I think it was just a really special song for me. And then first song coming out, I think too, that's definitely special for me.
Brilliant. No, it's really interesting to just to know, like I say, every song's like your children, and I will ask you which one's your favorite.
Yeah.
And moving on, and this, I did think this was maybe a boring subject, but I thought it's really interesting for anyone getting into, the music side and the business side of music as well. And, like many of the artists that I speak to, everyone, even really big artists like, say Adam Hood that I've been speaking to recently, everyone seems to juggle an awful lot. And I just expect, things to be taken care for you, so that you're doing the songwriting, the performing, etc. But it seems like everyone does their own social media and, putting yourself out there. It must be really hard, to try and juggle everything. So how do you balance, your week and, but you're performing a lot at these bars, and you're on social media a lot. So I'm messaging you and you're always really active. And I'm like, how are you balancing, your week? It's incredible.
It's tough. I still don't feel like I totally have it all figured out. I mean, I think I can definitely thank the fact that I have a supportive family. I mean, they will drop whatever to, help me, whether it's if I'm going live on TikTok, my brother is my admin, and he will manage all the comments for me, and he'll tell everybody where to find my music, and he'll be on, and he's a nurse, so he's got enough on his plate, but he will take the time to sit on live, and it could be sometimes it's just me and him, and he'll be my listener, him, and I think my parents will always tune in when it's live streaming at the bar, like at Alan Jackson's bar. They'll always be on, and they'll watch me and support me, and they always share my music with people. And I think that having a supportive family is really, 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 really helpful. I'm very grateful because I know a lot of my friends, they don't have the most supportive families with music, and music is such a crazy, unpredictable career that you don't know when your next opportunity is going to come, and sometimes it looks like you should just give up and go home. So the fact that I've had a supportive family has been really helpful, but I think they kind of keep me in line. I mean, I call home a lot. I get to travel home frequently, which is really, really nice. Get to see family and my puppies, and get to just take a second and recenter myself. But I think the fact that music is so fueling for me, and it like fuels my fire and makes me want to do more. I think performing really does that for me. So when I go and play a gig, I'm more inspired to write a song or do something for social media, because I realize that no one's gonna do it for me. I gotta do it all the way. I do it now. No one's gonna knock on my door and say, "Hey, I'm gonna help you out." That's if I don't do it, no one else is gonna do it. So I've come to that realization of just
But it's
it's
good to know, like I said, I talk a lot to people on Instagram and some of the real kind of big accounts that I would just expect, that would have teams of people working for them. And Adam Hood's such a nice guy that I've been speaking to lately, and I'm just amazed that someone like him that's managing his own Instagram and the messages that come through. I think, wow. So you're not alone in that, and I think it's interesting for people to know, when you start out, how you're going to manage your week, and the kind of stresses and the things you've got to keep on top of. So at least you got your brother to help you out, and he sounds like he's awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. I definitely am lucky with the fact that I have such a supportive family because I couldn't do it completely alone. I'm basically as independent as it gets, but I do have a supportive family, so that helps a lot.
Oh, it's amazing. So moving on slightly, so I picked up on your socials that you're involved in the Grammy U mixtape and the Nashville Songwriters playlist as well. So you were plugging that, and that's some incredible kind of highlights in your career, your young career so far. So what was it like kind of being involved in those playlists, and what does that mean for you?
I mean, it was insane. I remember getting the email from the Grammys saying that they included my song in their playlist, and I think Grammy U is such an incredible organization that helps people that are my age, kind of break it in the industry and learn more about the industry. And they've had some really cool events, and they really just care about young musicians and young industry professionals that want to get started and that are hungry to, make moves in labels or publishing companies or wherever they want to go. So the fact that, they picked my song was really, really, really cool, and made me uh, feel really cool because it was on, the official Grammys, the Recording Academy website and everything. So that was really cool. And then
It's amazing. I clicked a link and it was, the Grammys, and I thought, wow, that's incredible. And that was for Strangers, wasn't it?
this was for Time. So this is
Sorry,
my song,
Time.
yeah, that came out. But Strangers did get a award from NSAI, which is Nashville Songwriters Association International, and they have a lot of chapters all over the world, but they specifically have their home base in Nashville, and they are just so awesome. Like I've been a member with them for a long time, but you can submit songs whenever, and I have never gotten an accolade for a song this much until Strangers. And I remember I wrote it and I just, sent it in, and then they put it on a one to watch as a songwriter. They put me on a one to watch. So it was top 40 songs, and it was like one to watch as a songwriter. So that was really cool. And another validation of like I am a songwriter too. I'm an artist, but I'm also a writer, and I'm also, you know, my own manager and my own booking agent. It was just like a cool, kudos that I'm on, the
It's
right
nice
track.
recognition.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool. And it's, NSCI is a big deal in Nashville, so it was cool to have that recognition for sure.
Awesome. And Strangers actually put on our group as well by one of our group
Yes,
members. And I thought, awesome, man. It's, bigging it up with our little crew.
I'm
So,
so grateful. I was like, wow, this is so cool. And just the fact that people, even want to listen to my music. I remember releasing my first song and just being like, I don't even know if anyone's gonna want to listen to my songs. And the fact that I've, had people listen to my songs and like them and want to listen to them again and share them with people that don't know me, and people that don't know me come up and say, I love your song. Like that's crazy to me. That's like, I don't know, that's like the best compliment I could ever receive is someone liking
uh,
music.
that's amazing. I was going on your website as well. I trawl through all of your stuff, Anna, not to creep you out in any way. I'm not stalking you, I promise you. And I'm a fan of merch as well. And I put out on the group recently. I want merch. I want trucker caps. I want t-shirts. I want everything. And I went on your website and you had koozies. I was like, what's a bloody koozie? So I had to Google it. I was like, what is this thing? And it's a beer cooler type thing. And I thought, I want one of those. I don't have a koozie, and they're sold out. What's the deal with
I will, when I get no more coming in, I will send you a koozie from
that?
Nashville to you. I will send you a koozie.
I got
They are
really excited about it. I thought, they're sold out, man. Seriously.
ah, trucker hats are not sold out. So if you're into trucker hats, I have camo and pink trucker hats, which that is right up my alley.
Pink trucker hats. There we go. I think I'll be happy to wear one of those. That's rugged
Yeah.
enough for me. So a quick fire round. I wrote here as well because I was obviously listening to your song Change. We put that out in the promo. Love that song. And I thought, right, we've got a yeehaw. I can't even say it properly. Yeehaw or hell nah. It's not right with a British accent, really, is it? So we'll go with that. So it's either a yeehaw or a hell nah. Let's go with socks with sandals. Is it a yeehaw or a hell nah?
Hell nah.
Hell nah.
Not a fan.
Not at all. All right, I better
socks.
take my Crocs off then, I suppose.
I think Crocs are okay, but sandals like a flip flop or a, I think you don't call it a flip flop though.
No, flip flops, yeah.
Well, flip flops, okay. I know some people don't call it flip flops, so I wasn't sure. Yeah, no go for me. Hell
That's
no.
a no-go. I'm writing these down just as tips, really, just to help me out. I'm nearly 40 now, so my fashion isn't the best. Guys with beards or, yeah, hell no or yeehaw.
I think yeehaw.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's got to be a good beard, though.
Yeah, my growing up, I had celebrity crushes on Zac Efron and Brett Eldridge for sure. So I think that the facial hair is a yeehaw.
There you go. I'm all right then. I'll keep that. How about cowboy boots inside the jeans or outside the jeans? In fact, let's go with outside of the jeans.
I think if you're in skinny jeans, it's a yeehaw. If they're baggy jeans that you stuff into the boot, that's a hell not. It's a little. I feel like that'd be uncomfortable.
I've seen that before. And how about, because we're closing that time of year, so listening to Christmas music before December.
Oh gosh. I would say yeehaw. But I know that's probably controversial because people like to wait until December. I just really, really, really like Christmas music. And I think that, especially in Nashville, like people start recording Christmas music now. Like they get prepared to release Christmas music and it comes out really soon. So I get excited. I get really excited for artists to release country Christmas music for sure.
I was going to say, is it country Christmas music? Or is it a bit of Wham and stuff like that?
Yeah. It's both. I like the I mean, they also have like CMT Country Christmas and like CMA does stuff too. And there's a lot of Christmas shows and they'll film them early. So they'll film them in October. So it'll be like, 70, 80 degrees and we're, listening to Christmas music, but I'm all for it. I think festivities are fun.
Awesome. I like it. Look, I've taken up loads of your time, and I'm just going to ask a couple more questions before we kind of go into your performance. But what's coming up for you next, Anna? What have you got? Any projects, any new music coming out that we should be aware of?
Yeah, I've got a song coming out before the end of the year, so stay tuned for that. I will be announcing that very shortly. It will be the 5th song that I've released this year, so I'm really, really excited. I love all my songs, but I'm definitely excited for this one. It's definitely a fun one, a little bit of a different vibe than Strangers, so I'm excited to release it, and I'm gonna go back in the studio and cut some more songs for 2025. So I'm really, really, really excited. Hopefully I can hit the road in 2025 and, kind of branch out from my Nashville and Ohio spaces, maybe play a show somewhere else. So that's my plan.
Awesome. What's your socials? Where can we find you?
Yeah. So my Instagram is anna.scott. With it, like dot is in a period. My Facebook is Anna Scott Music. My website's annascottmusic.com. You'll find everything on there. Anna Scott on Spotify, Anna Scott on Apple Music, Anna Scott Music on TikTok. I've X and Threads. Those are Anna Scott Music as well. So wherever you listen to music or you have a social media platform, you'll find me. If you just look up Anna Scott, there is an Irish Anna Scott that has unfortunately taken all of my names before me. So you might see her first, but she's blonde. So if you see a brunette Anna Scott, that's most likely me.
It's the brunette Anna Scott. You know what? When I was doing my Google search, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I did find the blonde Anna Scott, and it was something like she was a child movie actress, and she produced a Swing Baby Swing musical. And I thought, this doesn't sound like our Anna Scott. So I'm glad I double checked before. Can you imagine if I asked you, so how was the musical? You know, that sounds amazing.
I'm so confused. Our music is still combined on certain platforms like Deezer, and there's other platforms that our music is combined on, and I'm like, no, because our music is so polar opposite, but she just, I mean, more power to her, but she's got a good name, but it's she's definitely way different than I am.
Yeah. We'll overtake the other Anna Scott. We'll do it for you. Don't you worry. And of course, obviously, like, share, and follow the Rugged Revival podcast, our groups, and everything else for more great content. And finally, we raise a toast to the grit, the grind, and the revival. And cheers, everyone, for listening. And I'm so happy to hand over to Anna now for an amazing performance. So thank you very much. Over to you, Anna.
Been a long day and I had a few, just sitting at the bar enjoying the view, and felt your presence next to me. You came in hot, said we're meant to be. You said, hey pretty lady, are you all alone? Saw your tan-line finger and your cover was blown. You're shooting your shot and yelling yeehaw, but all I was thinking was oh hell no, cause it smelled like 10 miles of bad road. If I kiss you right now, turn into a toad. You look like you could maybe use a shave, a tailor and a dentist, maybe even a maid. I know you're trying to play it smooth, but I see right through your cool attitude. Don't take this the wrong way, I just think you need a change. Don't matter if you're married or even if you're just engaged, you're coming on too strong, saying the wrong things. I don't think we're even on the same page. You offered to buy my next round, but you ain't got no change. Here comes your missus walking in the door, only got yourself to blame, cause it's been like 10 miles of bad road. If I kiss you right now, turn into a toad. You look like you could maybe use a shave, a tailor and a dentist, maybe even a maid. I know you're trying to play it smooth, but I see right through your cool attitude. Don't take this the wrong way, I just think you need a change. Yelling yeehaw, and I'm thinking oh hell no. 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 Cause it smells like 10 miles of bad road, and if I kiss you right now, turn into a toad. You look like you could maybe use a shave, a tailor and a dentist, maybe even a maid. I know you're trying to play it smooth, but I see right through your cool attitude. Don't take this the wrong way, I just think you need a change. I think you need a change. This is my latest release. It is called Strangers. Strangers, we started off by meeting eye to eye at a 2-for-1 special Friday night, and never thought that we'd turn into more. But suddenly we're walking out the door as we're driving down the I've never felt this good before. Heaven knows that we both were looking for love, but the time and place aligned. Didn't think that we'd go for on. Strangers to lovers, one kiss that turned into a million others. We were everything that we wanted, until one day we fell apart and turned back into strangers that were acting like we never met. 'Cause it's easier to move on than forget, instead of wondering how we went from strangers to lovers. One kiss that turned into a million others. We were everything that we wanted, until one day we fell apart and turned back into strangers. Every memory, every song, every secret that we shared goes down the drain, and we act like we don't care. But it's crazy that a person can take so much of your heart, then one day you're just a face in a bar. We went from strangers to lovers.